Hello, everyone. Welcome to Aurora Connects. This is episode 3 for Friday, April 10th, 2020. My name is Josh Costello. I am the artistic director of Aurora Theater Company, and I am joined, as always, by our associate artistic director, Dawn Monique Williams. Do we have Dawn? Are we actually started? There she is. Yes.
I am here. Yes. I am here.
Welcome, Dawn. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Josh. Today is a good day.
Excellent. I like hearing that. You were on another podcast recently.
I was just earlier this week. I was on the American Stage. They're out of Florida. They do a spotlight series. And I was on that podcast with another group of associate artistic directors talking about how COVID-19 is affecting each of our theaters and the field as a whole.
Excellent. Yeah, I listened to that. It was great. And do you have a quote for us to start our show?
I do have a quote for us to start our show. This one's coming from August Wilson's The Piano Lesson, which is the last show I directed before the theaters went dark.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you something about me. I've done strung along, going this way and that, whatever way would lead me to a moment of peace. That's all I want, to be easy with everything. But I wasn't born to that. I was born to a time of fire. The world ain't wanted no part of me. I could see that since I was about 7. The world say it's better off without me.
Thank you for that. What made you choose that quote for today?
It's some of my favorite language from this particular play. And I worked on the show recently and it had to close its run a little bit early. So I thought anything to keep it alive. And it was a title that we tossed around at Aurora for a bit too. Yeah, so yeah, just in the spirit of a time of fire, I went with this.
Great. Well, thank you. And if people have suggestions for other quotes we could use to open our show, or if they have comments or questions, how can they reach us?
They should send us an email at connects, CONNECTS @auroratheater.org. Connects@auroratheater.org.
And if you're watching live, you can comment in the chat room on YouTube or Facebook. And if you have questions or comments or suggestions for things we can talk about in future episodes, we hope that you will join into our online salon, our virtual happy hour that is this show, Aurora Connects. We're going to be talking with a bunch of Aurora artists in just a second. First, I do want to say we received a $10,000 donation from a donor who wishes to remain anonymous, but we want to say thank you so much for that. These kinds of donations and smaller donations, larger donations, any donations are really helping us weather this storm and get through and be able to do our 2020-2021 season starting in September. So thank you so much. If you feel moved to do so, you can donate through our website, auroratheater.org, and click on the donate button at the top right. You can also subscribe to our 2020-2021 season, and we've just added a Flex Pass option where you can get 4 tickets to use in any combination for any of the shows. So we hope you will do that and join us for the theater that we're going to make when we can open our doors once again. So thank you all so much for that. I'm now so pleased to talk about the art that's getting made even now, right? We can't open our doors, we can't gather in person, but people are still making art. And we have gathered together a group of Aurora artists who I suspect many of you will be very familiar with. And they're going to talk with us about all the different art that they're making and sharing right now and letting you know how you can experience it. So let's see if we can see everybody and switch to the grid view here and see the whole gang. But to go ahead and unmute yourselves and everybody's popping up. Oh my gosh, look at all these artists. Welcome, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, so I just real quick, I want to go around and just introduce everybody. So when I say your name, wave for us so we know who you are. But I'm just going to go around how I see it on my screen. So James Ard is a sound designer. James, welcome. And we have Elizabeth Carter, who people might remember from Eureka Day and several other plays. We have Dan Wolf. There's Dan. Hello. Katie Rubin. Hi, Katie. Phil Wong. Hi, Phil. Laura Jane Bailey. And there we go. Kev, yes, everybody, we are having a happy hour, so we all have our drinks. I have a gin and tonic here. Kevin Kemp, what are you drinking?
I've got an IPA.
Excellent. And Carlos Aguirre. Hello, Carlos. All right, welcome everybody. So we're going to go around and talk to folks one at a time and talk about the specific projects that you guys are working on. Let's start with Katie Rubin.
Hey, Josh Costello.
Hi, Katie Rubin. How are you?
I'm so happy to be talking with you.
Yeah, oh, that makes me feel good. I'm happy to be talking with you as well. How have you been? First of all, tell us what might people remember you from, Aurora audiences in particular.
Well, I got the distinct pleasure of working with yourself and the great and glorious Elizabeth Carter, who's also present this very day. One of my honestly favorite plays of all time, The Heir Apparent.
The Heir Apparent.
David Ives adaptation. I recently used a monologue from that production on an audition before the world shut down. So that was
excellent.
Fun. Yeah.
Well, you were hilarious in that production.
Thank you.
And then you did some stand-up for us too.
Yeah, quite recently we did an hour of the stand-up comedy jokes upstairs in the dash out, and that was really fun. It was fun to bring a kind of a different vibe to the Aurora, you know, mix it up a little bit, get it, sassify it a little more.
Yeah.
Edge it up.
So I take it you're doing more sassification these days.
Oh my God, all I have is sass, Josh. I'm up to here with sass. Where am I gonna put it? It's just me and the dog. I got sass coming out of my ears.
And what form is this sass taking?
Well, you know, it's interesting. Like one of the things I think, you know, like a lot of us are talking about, there's so much weird sort of back end good coming out of this craziness, at least in my perception of reality. All these little miracles popping up, and I don't know, just in the unity of people clapping for doctors out of windows, and like the whole dolphins in the Venetian waterways. And like, I'm just seeing miracles all day, every day in my life of just people being nicer to each other. This bike right here was given to me by the lady who owns my gym. She's like, do you want a stationary bike? Here, have it. And I was like, what? Just like kindness and kindness. So anyway, that's been kind of a fun side effect. But the sass, in terms of the sass and its building, I was, and this is a miracle story too, is that I was like sitting in my office here going, how am I gonna do anything I love doing and use the gifts I think I have to contribute to the world when human beings can't gather in any buildings together at the same time? And as I was thinking that question, no joke, I was like, how am I gonna, what are we gonna, who knows? I got an email from Jill at Rush Ticks, and she said, hey, I know you from a bunch of stuff. Do you wanna do a live stream stand-up comedy show? And it was like, I was sitting there thinking, how is this gonna happen? And then she showed up and offered me a way for it to happen. So is it ideal to do stand-up comedy in a vacuum where people won't be making the laugh noises? No, it is not. But frankly, I just feel grateful that like people are still trying and people care, people like Jill, and we're all just, it's just been really inspiring for me anyway to look out and go like, look what everybody's just finding a way. You know, in the same way that like you build a building in a forest and then like slowly but surely the forest takes back over the moment the people leave. You know what I mean? Like roots of trees grow up through cracks and sidewalks and shit. I feel like that's what we are that. We're like, oh, you can't go to theaters? Cool, I'm gonna make some theater in this weird other way.
And so you're doing live stand-up comedy, or is it pre-recorded? How's it gonna work?
It is going to be live streamed, yes. And
yeah.
We're trying to figure out exactly what to do. We have a meeting tomorrow to sort of say like, do we mute people? Do we unmute them? And we're thinking like it's going to be, you can like real time, you know, like say words by typing. I'm so not a tech person. You can say words by typing. Anyway, so people will be able to say words and they can heckle me like with their finger typings, and then I can respond that way, which
excellent.
Kind of fun.
Well, I'm glad we're going to be able to heckle you. That's the important part. I believe we have a video clip. This is new technology for us as well here at Aurora Theater Company, but we're going to try to play a video clip of you doing some of your stand-up.
I'm afraid. Carry on.
Amanda right now, I'm sure, is frantically trying to press the buttons to make that happen.
I would like to apologize in advance.
I do have my boobs out for your viewing pleasure, and what I want to say about that is that let's just all acknowledge, I recognize I do not have the correct boobs for this outfit. I understand you need the round, uplifted, perky boobs, right, for this outfit. But listen to me, I never had the round, perky boobs. Even when I was 16 and all my little friends had their like round, like nipples forward, like they're fucking in the army. Cha-chow! I never had that. My boobs were always like a triangular lesson in gravity. My boobs were always trying to teach you to understand where the center of the earth is. Confused about gravity? Follow my nipples.
All right, thank you for that. And where can people find out about this and watch it?
The worst part is that I chose that clip.
You did. You were like, what would be appropriate for Aurora's audience? I'm going to choose that one.
Let's see. So the link would you like me to say the link now?
We will have it in the show notes, but you could say it if you like.
Oh, great. It's a little wordy.
Okay, well, maybe people should just look in our show notes and in our chat and on our website. We have a page actually on our website now with information from all of our guests for today's show. And we'll be adding more links to what our friends are all up to.
Yeah, it'll be next Friday, April 17th, 7 p.m. live stream. It's rushtix.com/events/ what the hell is happening / So good luck with that one.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Katie. I hope you'll stick around for a second, but we're going to go ahead and move on let's go to Kevin Kemp. Thank you, Katie. Kevin, go ahead and unmute yourself. And there he is.
Hello.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, how's it going?
Tell us, first of all, remind our viewers of where they might have seen you on stage at Aurora before.
Sure. Well, my first show with you guys was Lunar Gale with the fabulous Laura Jane as well, who's on a bit later. And the last show I did with you guys was Dry Powder, which was super fun. So thank you for that.
I have a question. Is that text chain with the cast of Luna Gale still going? Do you guys still stay in touch with that?
Actually, that's funny because LJ just put on there, me and Kevin are on Aurora.
Yeah.
You guys, so yeah, it's still going.
I love it when a cast has that much fun that they years later are still texting each other.
That was a good cast. We had a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thanks, Kev. Well, what are you working on now? Where are you?
So I'm down in LA, and I've been doing bits and bobs for myself, like voiceover and audiobooks and things like that. But the thing that's been taking up most of my time over the last 2 weeks has been something called the Streaming Theatre, which I've set up as a way. I've been super inspired by, like what Katie was just talking about, artists coming on, making their own streams, and this, watching you guys do this chat show and things like that. And I thought that maybe not all artists would necessarily know how to get a stream set up and things like that, because it's pretty weird. So I wanted to create a space where artists can get in contact with me and I can stream their work for them so they can still connect to their audiences, and also do play readings, gig nights for musicians and things like that. And it's a place where the audiences can come and maybe see things they didn't know they were going to see and things like that, and have fans swap news about musicians and things like that. So the Streaming Theatre is primarily a new streaming site for people to see art. And most importantly, new art that's being created now, because as we know, we've got theatre companies putting out recordings of old shows and things like that. But it's so important that art keeps moving and keeps being developed. So I want new writing, new productions of classic plays and things like that, and musicians to come together and share their new music that they're creating. So that's primarily what we do, is host streaming events for artists. But we're also trying to push the boundaries of what streaming can do. So for things like musicians, the sound gets super compressed in chat apps like this. So I'm working with new software to try and help the sound be the best it can be, so people can really enjoy that music. And for play readings, we're looking at underscoring the music to add to the drama, setting up different camera angles by people calling in on different devices, so that rather than just a sort of window changing in a chat app, you've got like artistically produced camera angles to add to the drama as well. Doing sound effects to add atmospheres to plays and things like that, so that we can really try and, a bit like old radio plays, like they did such amazing work, and let's go back to that and create drama in those ways, and but still trying to push that technology all the time. And so that's what we're trying to do, is keep art being made and trying to push it in the digital platform as well.
And is this something that people are getting paid to be a part of? Are people paying to watch? Is it all, how does the money side of it work?
So it's going to be collaboration with the artists, and then there'll be a donate button. And obviously we know it's a super hard time for everyone right now. But if people do feel generous enough to donate, then we just split those donations with the artists that are on that stream on that event. So for example, on Monday, we're launching on April 13th. We're going to have 3 amazing musicians. Emily Jean Brown is one of them, who did Dry Powder with me. And so if people donate, we share those donations with the streaming theatre and with the artists, so we can keep streaming, and so those artists can hopefully keep making new art and things like that. And we're also going to do like wellness events, because a lot of my mates are saying that they're finding it super tough right now. So I'm speaking with mental health professionals and meditation people, so that they can do lead meditations, and we'll have musicians kind of live improvise over the top of those meditations to add an art aspect to it, and just trying to keep everybody joyful and creating, basically.
I love it. I love it. So tell me, where can people find this? You said it's starting on Monday.
Starting on Monday. The website is just thestreamingtheatre.com. You can see all the events that are coming up. There's a little button that says live stream. Click on that, and whatever live stream is happening at that moment will be there live for you just to tune in. And there'll be a little donation button as well if you're feeling excited and want to share.
Excellent. Well, that sounds great, Kevin. Thank you. And we'll have links to that in our show notes as well. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right. We are going to move on now to Elizabeth Carter. Elizabeth, she's going to go ahead and turn herself on. Yes. And you're still muted, I think, Elizabeth. So let's see if we can get you unmuted.
Technology.
Yeah. So we've done a bunch of shows together at Aurora.
Oh my gosh, yes. Let's see. Heir Apparent, Eureka Day. What was the first one?
Wittenberg.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes, Wittenberg. And then, and before that I did Trouble in Mind. No, it's about, is that 4 or 5, something like that? Yes. So I have a long, beautiful history with the Aurora Theater Company and with you, Josh. So I'm
It's so nice to see you.
I know. It's like this virtual, friend hangout. I like it.
So you're working with SF Shakes right now, is that right?
I am. So
what can you tell us about that?
I am directing King Lear for SF Shakes, and
is this their main summer show?
This is their main summer show. So we were already in pre-production and discussions and casting and everything, and then when we actually just started our script workshop, so we could pare the script down, right when things started to sort of ratchet down with limiting numbers, groupings of people. And we just decided that it was just better to just try to go online with the workshop. So in that time, we just moved all of our rehearsals, a 29-hour process, to completely Zoom oriented rehearsals. And so that was really, really interesting and a learning curve for a lot of us. We had one rehearsal together in the room, missing 2. We felt like we're just too vulnerable to come into to San Francisco. And then we moved everything online, and then we started to realize that this is going to shift. And the beautiful thing was, as we started watching all of our friends and all of my cast start to lose jobs, Rebecca Ennels, the artistic director of SF Shakes, said, nope, don't worry, we're doing this. Somehow, some way, we are doing it. So everyone still has a job. We are creating, as many theater companies are trying to figure out in this time, we're sort of saying, yes, yes to all of it. And how are we going to move forward? So one of the exciting things for me has been, as a director, to start to kind of think on multiple different layers. So if we're starting in a virtual world, where, how do we do that? Assuming that we will not all be able to gather together in July in the same kind of way that we would normally be able to gather in a park, then are figuring out how we're going to do it in a virtual space. We have a sort of 4-tier pronged approach to what the possibilities could be. And what we're sort of looking at is starting in sort of this space and moving our way through until we get to an actual live in-person performance of whatever size we may be able to have. SF Shakes, so we're kind of looking at, it's really sort of 2 productions. A virtual production and then a physical real space production. And one of the things that we've been talking about with designers is how do we do that? Because we can't have a normal ramp up of a build for a show. How do we create something that feels doable in a short amount of time? And we've come up with some really exciting things. Neil Ormond, who's the set and the TD, set designer and TD at SF Shakes, is talking about these beautiful like modular pieces that can connect and hook together and be morphed and shift and changed, and that are still organic and also structural at the same time, which was something that was really important to me. And then also, how do we maybe reflect that in using this technology, which you can use video, you can use created and designed backdrops, for lack of a better word. How do we use that? How do we create? How do we play in this world, which is a smaller box? So that's been kind of interesting. It's also informed casting. We had to like kind of look at, was some of the casting that would normally happen on a giant space be different and shift with certain roles when you're so intimate and close and you're seeing people's faces so much closer together. Things that you can do when you're very far away from each other look really different when you're this sort of intimate. But then the joy is, in this intimacy, you get to see all of the real, you get to reflect all of the nuances of someone's expression and their connection. And in our sort of informal reading for mostly board members, it was really, really, there were some just heartbreaking scenes that, because we were so close, we really got to have this sort of opening up. So that was really special. And everyone, it's just been sort of now the cast is part of the collaborative team that we're putting together to figure out what this looks like.
That's
very,
fascinating.
very, it's
Yeah,
super
that's
exciting.
really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah.
Let me ask one more question about this.
Yeah.
With King Lear, has your interpretation of the text changed as a result of this change? Like, is it changing your understanding of the play or the character himself or the other characters or anything? Is there something?
Well, the character herself in our production.
All right.
Just to say, so we have a Lear, and we also have a queer couple in Cornwall and Regan. So it has informed it, because what's really, really hitting me is the vulnerability of people at this time. And so this feeling that sort of nature just deconstructs everything. Nature brings us all the way down to the place where we must be human again. Mm-hmm. And that's happening right now. We can either choose to be human or we can choose to be inhumane. And when we become inhumane, systems fall apart. We deconstruct even further. And so it really has kind of informed that. I also have been really thinking about our homeless population and those who are most vulnerable amongst us. And I also teach. So my students, some of them have access, have different access to technology, have different access to food, maybe in dangerous situations. This is not a good time for some people. And so it's really made me really think about those kinds of things within the construct of the play, and also how our power structures, how they respond to us. And when leaders are absentee in their duties, and when they don't show up the way that they ought to, when they're more preoccupied with themselves than what is going on around them. And so, and their humanity. And so I'm interested, in that place when we sort of try to hold the patriarchy. How does that, kind of take us perhaps down? So there's a lot. Lear's big.
That's amazing. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. I hope you'll stick around. We're going to move on to the next, then we'll come back to the whole group in a moment. I also want to say, if people are watching on our YouTube channel or on Facebook, please feel free to comment and ask questions, and we will get those in. We are monitoring your chat room so we can include you as part of this conversation. That's really important to us as well. Let's go to Laura Jane Bailey. Hello.
Hey. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Tell us, you were in Luna Gale.
I was
with
Kevin Kemp and Mud Blue Sky, right? Which they kind of had the same casts. Like I think Mud Blue Sky, you guys just brought me and Jamie and Devin into Luna Gale, and both were amazing, amazing experiences for me.
Good. Well, you were fabulous in both of those. And tell us what you are working on now.
Okay. So I'm working on a solo show. And right now it's called Qui êtes-vous, which means who are you in French. And right before the world shut down, the writer, me, was this close to giving it over to the actress, again, me. During the past few weeks, the actress has been trying to figure out, how do I perform this? Sort of like what everybody has been talking about. How do I even rehearse this? It's being directed by David Ford, and David and I have had some Zoom rehearsals, and it's not as weird and uncomfortable like I thought it would be.
Oh, that's good.
But the nature of the piece is very intimate. And the Marsh, which is where it was going to premiere, is, a pretty small theater. And I was really looking forward to really talking to the audience and really getting that energy back. And that's not it right now. So I think it's going to premiere online, and I will just be talking to them.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Is that with a particular organization that's going to premiere online, or are you just going to sort of slap it up there? What's the plan?
I'm going to slap it up there. And here's what I was thinking. I have a friend, Brian Copeland, who from the Not a Genuine Black Man show, and he's been doing live shows on Saturdays at I think 5 on Facebook. So I've been watching it and thinking, I think that looks like how this is going to be.
Cool. Maybe Kevin Kemp can.
I was just thinking maybe Kev and I need to have a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I think we have a clip from your show as well. So let's see if we can go to that clip and see what Laura Jane has been doing. And you're writing and performing this.
Yes.
Excellent. Maybe we won't be going to the clip. We'll see. Here it comes.
She handed it to me. Oh no, I don't smoke. Well, I rarely smoke. I don't want to smell like smoke when I see my brother later. Oh, so you are a good girl, are you? Yeah, she was definitely flirting with me. I don't know, maybe what makes up a good girl? Well, a good girl does what everybody wants her to do. A bad girl does whatever she wants. It was making me very, very, very nervous. And at that moment, I should have turned around. And gone right back to the hotel, but I couldn't move. She had me in her grips. Either she was going to kiss me or stab me. I didn't know, but either way, I was not going to move. She didn't do either of those things.
All right.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. Yeah. Will you tell us just a little bit about the context of this scene?
Yeah, that was sort of weird just out of it. So who I'm meeting is Paris, the city that I have personified into the coolest woman ever. And the show came about 18 months ago when my husband and I were in Paris, and he came he became very, very, very sick, and almost died. So we had to stay there a couple of months, and I couldn't, when I came back, and he's recovering and everything is moving along beautifully, so don't worry about that. But when I came back, I couldn't really describe to people this experience I had, because it was so surreal and otherworldly and alone, because he was in a coma. So literally it was just me. So I started writing it and trying to talk about how weird it was and how uncomfortable it was and how sad it was and how weird and funny it was. And finally I came up with the idea of, oh, why don't we have me battling it out with Paris, the city? And so that's kind of how where the show goes to, is an epic Marvel battle.
All right. Oh, well, I can't wait to see that.
Jokes.
Great.
So
you let us know when we can watch this, and we'll share the link when it's ready.
You got it. Thanks for letting me talk about it.
Thank you so much, Laura Jane Bailey. Let's go to James Ard. James is a sound designer and has done some marvelous work with Aurora and with companies all around the Bay Area. Hi, James.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Good. Tell us, what shows have you done with Aurora Theater Company?
Oh, I think I've done about 2 shows a season for a couple years now. I've done The Royale, Dry Powder, Actually, and Exit Strategy.
Yeah, we had a good time on that one.
That was a fun one, a loud one.
Yeah. I still listen to that music all the time. So tell the audience a little bit just about, if you don't mind, about the life of a sound designer. What is it that a sound designer does?
Oh, well, a sound designer first reads the script and then writes down all the little noises in your brain that should happen or want to happen, and scratch out little pieces of music and moments that want to be underscored, and then attend rehearsals and play little bits of tape and try things out and make a lot of noise.
All right. And that's awesome. And you have a whole project that you have been working on during this shelter in place. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yes, so I have a small podcast which updates irregularly and operates under the name of the Bare Wire Theater. And the Bare Wire Theater is sort of like a short play festival for your ears. It's these little productions that are like little experiments where we take an unproduced play and workshop a fully realized sound design and performance and build this small little world you can listen to in your headphones. And as of today, as of about 2 hours ago, we have released our new short play podcast episode titled Hui, which is a short play written by Roy Conboy.
And how did you end up working on this particular play? How does that process work?
Let's see. When we opened up our lines telling people that we were looking around for scripts, Roy Conboy, who is a professor at San Francisco State University, was the very first person who dropped a line in our inbox. And he's written this play. And so Hui is a story which begins from the perspective of a young Chicano man who approaches the door of his Vietnamese neighbor. And he's seen her before. He recognizes her from his recurring dream of being lost at sea. But to her, it's not a dream. It's her memory, her real life experience of being a refugee sailing across the South China Sea. And he's haunted by her story as she mysteriously begins to slip back into the waves. And it's this sort of theater and poetry and music all intertwined together.
Well, and sound too. I mean, that sounds like a perfect for this kind of project.
Absolutely. And it's got this powerhouse performance by Carlos Mendoza and Carla Acosta, who are some of my favorite local performers.
Yeah. Do we have a clip from this that we can play?
I hope so.
Amanda, do you have something? Here we go.
Yeah. It all comes back in a dream. Those nights, like these nights. Staring at a screen, watching people die. Staring at a screen, watching people die.
What we had to do.
Yeah, it all plays out like a dream.
We shall do it again.
Till I hit the wormy bottom of my tequila therapy.
We're otherwise.
for an ice cold soul, and I step away from the tube and out into la noche, in search of spirits, in search of shadows, in search of lime. And I cruise the iron railing past Puerto y Ventana beneath the starless sky. Past door, window, door, window, door, window, door, open door. And the light falling out of the room cuts across my path. And me? Oh yeah, I'm just drunk enough.
You? Again?
What? I'm just...
Why are you there?
Hey, sorry, I didn't mean to cause any trouble.
No.
No, I was
Then
just...
why?
The door was open and I saw you and...
And?
Don't I know you from somewhere?
All right. Thank you so much, James. That was awesome.
Little piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to tell us about this project?
I would just say if you want to listen to it in less compressed audio and less little notification sounds, give it a, you can go to bearwiretheater.com or your Apple Podcast app or Stitcher. And I think as of yesterday, we're on Spotify.
Great. And we will have those links in our show notes as well.
Oh, brilliant.
Thank you so much, James.
Thank
Very,
you.
very cool. What's really striking me about all these different projects that everybody's doing is how well they may fit together. And I'm really hoping that some synergy comes out of this and we end up making some things happen.
Let's all collaborate.
Yeah. Let's go to, we're going to talk to Carlos, Dan, and Phil all together now, because you guys were all part of Telltale Hearts at Aurora Theater Company, which was our cabaret slot in the fall. And then it was so awesome that we had to bring it back in the winter and do it again. And hopefully there will be more of that. But hey guys, it's great to see you all.
Hello.
Hello, Josh. How's it going? Hey, Don.
Good. Tell us, Carlos, will you tell us a little bit about Telltale Heart, your Telltale Heart, and what that event was? You and I were talking about it for a while before it happened. Oh, Carlos, you're still on mute. There you go.
You got me? You got me? Okay, cool. So Telltale Heart, the piece itself has its own conception story in terms of how I just always have loved that story. It started off as a comic book, actually, a graphic novel that I penned the sort of thought bubbles with all of the lyrics to this reinterpretation of Telltale Heart. I sat down with you. It was, amazing to be able to have that conversation and really open up what the possibilities were for us working together. And then so the cabaret idea, that something that you have already been sort of working and doing, was really exciting to me. I thought this might be the perfect platform for us to try out something. I knew that I didn't have, the Telltale Heart piece itself, my piece itself, is a short, just retelling of the story. I added beatboxing. I added my beatboxing and rapping to it. So I took the original text and transposed it, kept some of the original vigor of the writing and the original integrity of Poe's style, and I tried to add some of my own flair to it, not modernizing it too much, but more like reinterpreting how I would say it, I guess. And so after, I felt like I was really proud of it. I loved it. I started taking the text separate from the comic book and just started performing it as a solo piece. And then that's when the idea came about that maybe I should expand this and try to turn it into a full-fledged mini show. I don't know if it's a solo show. I don't know what it is, a musical. I have no idea. So as that process happened, I was like, okay, what's this cabaret about? Oh, it needs to be like an hour to an hour and a half. I was like, you know what? I think there's a perfect marriage here that's already taken place. So Dan and I, of course, have a relationship from Felonious, our work together as Felonious, both as a band and theater company. And we also have history working together on his piece, him and Tommy Shepard's piece, Beatbox a Rapperetta. So we had this background of working with rap in theater already. I was like, well, I'm doing this Telltale Heart piece. I think, Dan, what's going on? And I noticed that Phil had sort of sparked this idea of the Bay Area Theater Cipher, and Dan was all in, and I was like, what's going on? What is this? This is so exciting. So
let's go. Phil, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Theater Cipher, and then we'll get back. Yeah.
Yeah. So last summer, I don't know what time is anymore. Last summer, when I was in the Good Person of Szechuan at Cal Shakes, I had this kind of moment where I was just like, I'm gonna just record a rap video, like in my crazy like Chinese god costume that I was wearing. And it went mildly like viral within the theater community for a little bit, and then Dan saw it and he was like, this is dope. And I was like, kind of jokingly like, hey, let's Bay Area Theater Cipher, let's do it. And Dan really kind of goes out and gets it, so he was like, so like, when are we doing this? And I was like, well, okay, why don't we just like put out our dream list of like who we would want in the music video and see if they'll do it for free. And everyone did it. And so we made this YouTube video with the help of some awesome videographers and a DJ with Tassi Alabastro, Adam Elder, our DJ Ken Primo, aka Keith Pinto. And we just put this thing out, and we started this idea of what can we do about like exploring some of the ideas that we've been grappling with in the theater community and kind of just our general community at large, through hip hop and things like that, and telling stories in different ways. And that kind of led to us. It was all kind of a perfect marriage of like, Carlos had his thing talking with you, we were working on the music video thing, we got a bunch of those people in on the thing that we were doing at Aurora, and then it all came together as Telltale Hearts.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Dan, tell us a little bit more about Telltale Hearts and what that was all about.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way I came to see it was this opportunity where we could take the concept of a mixtape or a pastiche graffitied wall and figure out how to like theatricalize it and put it and activate it in a real way. And how can we use the structure of the variety show and the structure of the freestyle cipher as a way to kind of decentralize what we do with narrative and really put it to a beat and tell stories with rhythm and rhyme. And so, I mean, again, Telltale Hearts became this space where we use these three myths. We used Carlos's Telltale Heart as the anchor, and really Phil started to adapt a version of Mulan. And I had this rap song about Icarus and Daedalus escaping from the tower. And so kind of using these three themes and three myths, we kind of set these three guideposts and started to fill in the spaces in between. Carlos had something from Hamlet, I have something from Merchant, we have solo songs. And so it just like became this space where experimentation could happen in a theatrical setting where we run the show kind of like a live band.
Yeah, awesome. It was such a great performance. I was so excited to see it. Carlos, tell us what you've been working on these days now that we're all shut inside. What have you released some music recently, yeah?
Yeah. I've had music in the chamber for a minute, so it was kind of like the perfect opportunity to get all the distractions out of the way. Not that everything is a distraction, but a lot of times when you're working on stuff and you want to focus on your material, you also have to survive, and you got to do everything that your responsibilities. I care about my teaching artist work a lot, so that was taking up a big stock. And I think it was just the timing of everything that was happening. I already had planned to release this material, so I released my first real full-length EP. Well, it's just a warm-up, but it's my EP with Ken Primo, Keith Pinto, and we released an EP called White Boy, Black Keys, Brown Rapper, taking all this concept of one source sampling and producing an album that way. Sort of what Prime, with Primo and Royce the 5'9", they created all using one sort of source of sampling and then putting out material that way. So that being said, we moved forward a little bit. I just dropped a remix version of that, also produced by Keith Pinto, Ken Primo, because my boy is just
fire.
It's just fire like that. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get these different producers to do this remix EP, you know, all these different and Dan shaking his head, and he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, that's perfect. So we were able to get it out quickly. I have a full length album coming out. I also have in the chamber 2 EPs with two other different producers. So I got a lot of writing and that's going on, and it's great. This is the time for that. But also the Telltale Hearts piece has really grown into something that I didn't even expect. I didn't understand what it was going to be. I was like, okay, Barry Theater Cypher, this is dope. We'll make it a mixtape. That's dope. But I think what's really resonating beyond the material is the format, the way that we're sort of informal in the shows. We really invite the audience to be a part of it. We're trying to break that wall that exists, not just in terms of the fourth wall, but also just in terms of the wall of performer and audience, and not just in like a hybridish way where it's like experimental, but more just lax, where it's
just
more,
you're here, we're there, we're talking to each other. Yeah,
totally. So that, I think that kind of energy really allowed us an incubator for this kind of freedom to play, the way Phil hosts the show, with the freedom to joke with the audience or to turn it into the next piece. Or we kind of, Dan and I and Phil are starting to create a synergy that I think we want to develop more and more. So that's why it's exciting to have other theaters interested in hosting the show. It's a mixtape that can be pop-up. It's a pop-up. It can have, you know, besides it, you know, it's a theater taco truck. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
I would love a taco truck right about now. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's why it's because I want tacos. That's why I'm saying that.
Okay, and we're gonna have links to your albums and where people can find them in the show notes.
Yes, and mcinfinite.com. You can find everything there. So EMC-infinite.com.
Awesome. Dan, what have you been working on?
Oh, so I've been trying to figure out all this live streaming stuff. I also have music coming out that I've been working on. I have an album that we're going to release in August, but the first single is dropping in May, on May 1st. So I've just been exploring what it looks like to live stream and how my work can be immediately delivered to an audience, because I really feel right now what's beautiful and is that the artists are so important. You know, the artists, what people are doing, it's so deeply healing, not only for the artist who's doing it, but for the audience who's receiving it. And so, I mean, that's what I really experienced maybe 2 weeks ago, sitting right here. I did my first kind of impromptu kind of live stream of a bunch of songs that I have. And then this, you know, all the way to this morning, I watched, and Carlos and I were just talking about it, the Black Thought live stream that he did on NPR, where he's just like, this is cathartic for me. So I think we're all in this moment of moving through trauma, a new kind of way of dealing with life. And there's, as scary as it is, it's also super exciting. So I've just been experimenting with that. And then we're also going to be doing the Telltale Hearts live streaming it next weekend. So we're going to do 2 nights on the Bay Area Theater Cypher's Facebook page.
Great. Well, we'll link to that for sure. Cool. Yeah. And thank you, Phil. What have you been working on?
Oh man, I'm making a lot of weird stuff right now. Like, you can go to my Instagram at Philly Wong Steak on Instagram and see kind of the progression of my madness from the moment I found out that like all my jobs were gone to the moment I started, you know, those stages of grief and stuff like that, where it's like bartering and anger. Like you can kind of see that take its course throughout the videos that I've been making. And I've done everything from like, I wrote a rap about how I have no money right now, but I'm playing Pokemon and I have a lot of money in the Pokemon game. That's called Pokemon money. I found this puppet of an alpaca in my storage, and I've been doing this thing called Audition Alpaca, which is this, you know, just this puppet of a llama doing all these audition faux pas for the camera, like warming up in front of people and like, you know, doing monologues from Angels in America and stuff like that. And I'm starting to also, it was weird because I felt like the first week I was kind of grieving and taking a breath. And then just recently, everything started picking up. All of my in-person schedule went away and got replaced by like Zoom schedules and stuff like that. So I feel like I'm actually creating stuff. I'm working right now. So I'm trying to do more music things. I invested in some equipment that I'm gonna work on to kind of make the live stream that's coming from my house a little clearer and cleaner. And the big thing right now, like Dan said, is putting Telltale Hearts online. And
So
that's
exciting.
again, that's going to happen Thursday, Friday, and Saturday next week. It's going to be the mastermind kind of behind this whole thing is actually Tassi Alabastro,
Yes.
who
he's watching actually now. He just sent
is he on YouTube Live? What's up? What's up, Tassi?
What's up, Tassi? What's up?
Tassi Alabastro, my island brother. He's really the guy who's like making all this like work, because he has had a Twitch channel since 2015, and that's always something that like I've kind of been, I've watched streams and stuff like that, but I've never been really involved in that community. And now that we're all inside, everyone wants to be involved in that community, and we have an in because he's part of that community and is also part of our theater community, and we connected with him for the music video. So you might not see him during Telltale Hearts next week, but he's going to be kind of the man behind the curtain, making everything work, because we're trying to make it more of a streamlined experience. I've been seeing a lot of like cool Zoom things like this, where there's a lot of tiles and things like that. And we're trying to make it so that it's kind of one screen with transitions and things, almost like watching a movie. So it's a mixture of live things coming live from our houses and pre-recorded stuff from the performances that we were doing at Aurora.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I've had a Twitch
all that.
since 2015.
Yeah.
But no Twitch account.
But not Twitch.com. Twitch is a streaming service, live streaming service where social media actually, where people it's mostly used for people watching other people like play video games and things like that. And but they stream all sorts of things. There's live performances of music and like DIY, like do your own like construction and crafting things.
Cooking classes. It's
cooking classes. It's a huge community of people who kind of live stream their lives. And if you want to check out Tassi's live stream, he's Kreen Bananas, KREENPANANAS, like bananas, but with a P. Woo, I did it. Spelling bee champ, 5th grade.
Awesome.
Yeah, Kreen Bananas on Twitch. You can check out and see kind of what he does and how, and kind of get an idea of what Telltale Hearts is kind of going to look like. We're going to be streaming that live again from our Bay Area Theater Cyber Facebook Live and also on Twitch. So
I have a question, one last question, because we got to wrap this up, but we have a request from our chat room that the alpaca make an appearance. Is that possible? Is the alpaca within reach? Everybody wants the alpaca.
I don't know where I put him. He's somewhere.
All right, you'll have to go to Phil's Instagram to see the alpaca.
Follow my Instagram. I'll do audition alpaca again. He still needs a name.
All right, more audition alpaca, please. Thank you so much, you guys. Let's bring the whole group back for a moment if we can. We're running out of time here, but I want to thank everybody and see your faces one last time before we wrap this up. Anybody want to share? Anybody have one really good thing you want to share about something that's keeping you going and keep giving you joy during this time? Anybody want to offer something up that's particularly making you happy that we can share? Yeah, Dan, what do you got?
Just doing this. Realizing how deeply important human connection is. So this was a joy right here.
Thank you all so much. Oh, Katie's got
pointing
something.
at the beautiful Dawn, seeing Dawn's face, seeing Phil, just seeing friends. It's beautiful. You guys are glorious.
Thank you, Phil.
Katie. I purchased a plastic 10-foot tall unicorn that springs water out of her horn, and it's not as like emotionally deep.
Hey, no judgment.
It's a lot of fun times.
Whatever it takes to get through this. Yeah.
One day at a time.
Phil, and then Kev.
For everyone playing Nintendo Switch, I am on Animal Crossing, and that is giving me a lot of joy. For those of you who don't know what that is, imagine you have your own personal island and you can get an interest-free loan to develop a community on it, and it's full of adorable animals, and you pay with seashells and fruit.
Wow.
So if you want to visit my island, it's called Isla Dope, and it's where my character lives. So
That's my kind of rapper.
Isla Dope.
Kemp, did you have something you wanted to jump in here with?
Yeah, I've got a balance between, like, when you go to the grocery store and actually everyone is looking up and smiling, which is actually really lovely. But then the other thing is I got a really good pumpkin pie the other day, and that's kind of really good as well. There's a lot of joy coming out of that pumpkin pie. So balance between those two things.
All right. All right. I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you all so much. Please do check our show notes to see what everybody is up to. Dawn, will you remind us of what people can do if they are having trouble with their technology at this time?
Absolutely. If folks need a little assistance with Zoom or YouTube or Facebook Live, we want to make that available to you. Our technical director, Cameron, is standing by to give you a call and talk you through that. So you can, again, email us at connects@auroratheater.org, and we'll pass that on to Cameron. And again, if you have questions, ideas, you want to suggest quotes for me to read from plays, you can also send that to connects@auroratheater.org.
I'll say one more time that we are accepting donations. So please, if you feel moved to share something with us, go to the website and click on donate at the top right. Next week, we will have Liz Latta, who was Aurora's graphic designer for a long time, and she is the artist behind those beautiful paintings that we use to publicize our shows. And she will be talking about her process, how she makes these paintings, and how she puts them together. And we will actually be revealing the art for the 2020-2021 season, which has not yet come out. So I'm really excited to share that with all of you. Thank you so much to all of our guests. Dawn, thank you so much. Amanda, thanks for making this all happen. And thank you everybody for staying connected. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Peace, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you all.